Hello, guys, and welcome to the start. No, I'm gonna have to cut it now, aren't I? Oh,
No, leave it
bloody hell!
in. Leave it in. Leave it in. He's getting ready for tomorrow, folks. Leave it in, buddy.
That's what
Go
it is.
ahead.
It's been
Go
one of
for it.
those days. Right,
Go for it.
we're gonna cut. Well, we're gonna redo. Okay, so again. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Marigold Standard. It's even on screen, man. Come on. Hello, welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I am your frazzled host, Rob Goodwin. I'm joined as ever by Mr. Positivity himself, Mr. Matt Turner. I cannot tell you how much we might need his positivity today just to counteract my general fumbling and stuff around items because my head's in the shed. It really is. But, Mr. Turner, how the devil are you?
Good, buddy. I'm doing really good. Things are really well. No sense of complaining. Some really great wrestling around the horn to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about these two shows from Marigold, but a lot of great stuff, in the world of Joshi with Sendai Girls, Tokyo Joshi Pro, obviously Stardom. Some really great stuff, too, on TV. Obviously, we're going to do a long Io and Kairi watch this week on the Stardom cast. And Julia actually wrestling, Rob going, actually wrestling. And yes, I know. Not only that, maybe because she was in the ring with Tiffany Stratton, but that Stardom Marigold Julia Tan, it's usually like on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10. It was like a 5. I don't know if you noticed it, but I was like, ooh, where did that Julia Tan game go? Where did that? But regardless, it's Julia. She was fantastic. So stay on the hook for that. Obviously, Rob going, we are just mere days away, about a week and a half away from Grand Destiny. Obviously, the card is shaping up. We have 2 mystery opponents, which I'm sure we'll get into for Chikagoto and Megaton. I have some theories about that. But, brother, I'm ready to rock and roll. Other than you changing the room around, how's everything with you?
Yeah, not too bad. So, for those who are watching in the audio realm, obviously, we've changed the layout of the room, the desk, and everything, so that we could, so that basically there was a bit more light because it's a very small window for quite a large room. But in true Rob Goodwin style, couldn't just do it easily and just move things around. No. Ripped a radiator off the wall as I was moving the desk.
Like the Incredible Hulk. Good for you, buddy. Yeah.
That's
Hulk
again.
smash.
Obviously, I've been working out. That's all I'm saying. Working out that much that things fall off the wall around me. But yeah, not as strong as I thought I was because this desk is hella heavy. So yeah, but other than that, all good. Just a little bit all over the place. But you're absolutely right. We've got lots and lots of good things to talk about. Megaton with her mystery opponent. We've got Chikagoto with her mystery opponent. We've also got a mystery opponent in the gauntlet tag team match as well. So technically, that's 3 different mystery opponents for that. We've also got news of a new signing for Marigold. Utami giving a very candid interview to Tokyo Sports. We've also got Io giving an interview to Chris Van Vliet, which technically has nothing to do with Marigold, but I just want to talk about it because it was an adorable interview. Mayu missing the Osaka show, and obviously, her continued pain in her ankles. She posted again with it being strapped up just after I believe after the Korakuen show. And we've got little bits here and there before we go into the Osaka show, and obviously MIRAI's farewell Korakuen Hall show as well. So lots and lots to talk about. Matt, let's delve straight into it because, of course,
real quick, because I can't stop looking at it above your beautiful head. That's a soccer/football jersey, is it not?
Behind me, right? Okay, that makes more sense. That will be the Stardom cast, folks. I was like, genuinely, I looked up, I was like,
floating. Oh my goodness, folks!
Been one of them days, Christ.
Well, what do we got there, buddy?
Yeah, so I'm sure that obviously, and this is for you, Mr. Darren Chatton. That is a Newcastle United football jersey. It is basically one from the cup final we won back in February. It was only a small cup, didn't matter. Doesn't matter. First cup we've won in 70 years. So just a framed little jersey as I move my head out of the way there, with some photos from the actual trophy lift and stuff like that. So just a nice little memento.
From one cup to the other, buddy. Cheers.
Cheers. Absolutely. Cheers. I thought you were going to say about my shirt. I was like,
oh yeah, what's going on with that shirt? Yeah, sun-kissed polar bear. I tell you what, you're rolling today, buddy. What is that? Is that a team?
I am repping, of all things today, ice hockey, the Orlando Solar Bears. it was a birthday present from Kirsty when we went to Florida. God knows how long ago, like 2016, something like that. No, probably earlier than that. And we went to go and watch a game, and it was awesome. Loved it. And we just got a shirt to remember it by. My mum bought it, right? You know, when you move out and your mum is constantly bringing you stuff, even like a decade after you've moved out.
My parents are still giving me action figures, VHS tapes, and
Yeah,
DVDs, and old Michael Jordan cards. Yes, and Amber's
my favorite thing at the moment is my mum's like, "Do you want this book?" And I'm like, "If I haven't read it in 10 years, mum, I'm probably not going to start reading it now." So, nah, charity shop. But no, this was one of the things she bought. I was like, "Oh, I love this shirt." When she bought it to me, Matt, I did not fit into it. I was a chunky boy. I'd gained quite a lot of weight since I'd been to see the Orlando Solar Bears, but I'm happy to say I've lost a bit of weight, so I now fit in it. So yeah, there is that. But yes, oh, I will just tell you, this was one of the wildest things. I've never ever seen this in any sporting event before. So we went to it was where NXT Takeover Orlando was, and I can't remember the actual venue name. But it was, it was an arena. It was a decent size. I think the Orlando Solar Bears. There's the NHL, and then there's a different league underneath the NHL. I think it's the EHNL or something like that. Anyway,
DHL, I think it could be. I'm not too familiar with
yeah.
hockey. This is where Allison Danger would be able to help us. So, but to go
I'll
ahead,
make sure I
continue.
wear this next time so that she can tell me about it. I know they were playing Gainsborough. I remember that. And yeah, so anyway, watching the game, and it's wild. Kirsty's really into it 'cause it's proper violent. I don't know what that says about her, but there we are. Getting really into it. Kill him.
Stab him with your
And
skate. Happy
um,
Gilmore.
fight, win. So anyway, and then the game just stops. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Doesn't seem to be the end. I can't remember if it was quarter or they do thirds. I can't remember. It doesn't seem to be time for schedule. But honestly, they stopped it so that they could do a competition in the crowd with the person who shouted the loudest winning a free pizza. They stopped a professional sports game for that. I was like, can you imagine stopping like a World Cup match? Stopping a Premier League match, stopping an NFL. I know it's a bit different with the NFL because obviously
Sure.
there are stoppages, but like games in, like football or soccer, there's no real breaks in play in terms of that. Just stopping it. Whoa, 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 stop. Pizza break. Pizza break. Whoever shouts the loudest, you get a pizza. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would shout my head off for a pizza, and it was only because there was a guy behind me who shouted ridiculously loud that I didn't win that pizza. But there we are. It was an experience, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Anyway, got
Off topic as usual.
slightly
Sorry.
railroaded. Obviously, there's one place to start, and that is the fact that we now have a full card for Marigold Grand Destiny in Ryogoku, October 26th, a Wrestle Universe pay-per-view. A lot of the matches we already knew we were getting. We already knew that we were getting Mayu Iwatani versus Io Sky, the dream match. Can't wait for that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because a friend of the show, Darren, actually put something very interesting in the Patreon about that match. We know we're getting Mai Sakurai versus Victoria Yuzuki for the United National Championship, which actually I think the build for that has been tremendous, been really, really exciting. Utami versus Miku Ano for the World Championship as well. We also know Sari Yamaoka is taking on Chihiro Hashimoto. Kazuna Tanaka is taking on Shino. The rest of the card was announced at a press conference the day after we recorded the Marigold Standard because sure, why not? The Twin Star Championships, as was sort of alluded to, they will be defended by Magenta against the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Chiaki. We have got single matches. Chika Goto versus a mystery opponent labeled just S. Megaton versus M. That's exciting in itself. I cannot wait to see who they put next to Megaton. We have also got a gauntlet tag team match, which I really like the idea of this because, again, I would much prefer something like this as opposed to just an inane rumble where they just throw everyone in and no one really gets time to shine. The teams for that are as follows. Now Ishikawa and Hummingbird, Chan Yota and Arina Yamanaka, who for me are the team to beat in that. Minami Yuki and Nagisa Takibane, Komomo Minami and Yuki Yamazaki. You've also got the Darkness Revolution team of Nagisa Nozaki and Ria Sato. And new Marigold signing Shoko Kashino, who we're going to get into in a moment. And she will be teaming with a mystery partner. Now, at the moment, Matt, obviously there's no word on who those three mystery opponents are. I have a serious idea because I imagine one of yours probably isn't serious and one of them might be serious. I've got an idea for maybe one of them. On commentary for Korakuen, and again, you take this with a pinch of salt, but on the English commentary for Korakuen, Sonny and Stu seem to be alluding to the fact that S and M correlated with the first name of this person. So again, if we are to take it that S obviously is the first name of the person taking on Chikagoto, M is the person taking on Megaton, what ideas do you have, Mr. Turner?
I mean, let's get the elephant out of the room. Megaton, obviously singles match, mystery opponent, I know they did say that Io and Mayu is going to be the main event, and we're going to talk about Utami in their comments, but that might be the main event. Now, Rob, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to answer a question with a question. Do you know any independent professional wrestlers that would love to wrestle Megaton that their first name begins with an M?
I thought you were just going to say, do you know of any wrestlers who want to wrestle Megaton? The answer is, of course, everyone, because she is the person. She is the person to beat. In terms of M, I know there's a really obvious one I'm missing. Obviously, there's Mirai now, which was the first thing I thought. I was like, what? Imagine if they just used that to bring Mirai back. There is, who's the one? Yuki Mashiro. Obviously, that's an M, but it's the last name. I feel like I'm missing out a really, really obvious one, and I'm really laying you down here.
Yeah, you are. I'll give you a hint. It's not a female; it's a male that you went to Las Vegas with, folks.
Oh, Amber is not wrestling Megaton.
I am waiting, just waiting for the check to clear from Mr. Ogawa to get it's a big money match, Matt Turner versus Megaton. I've been waiting.
Big money, Turner.
That's right. I've been waiting. As soon as it said M, and I was like, I wonder. It took about 3 seconds. Oh my god, I've been sitting on this one for a week. To be honest with you, I think the two wrestlers with the M and the S, I think they're going to be representation for Marvelous, because with the exception of Magenta, there's no other Marvelous talent on this. So I'm going to say it's Miya Momono. And then with Chikagoto, there's a possibility it could be Sari. Obviously, we'll talk about it more on the Stardom cast, but she just dropped the IWGP, so maybe that's a possibility, but I think it's going to be Sanka. So I'm going to go with, I'll let you know, kayfabe, if it is Matt Turner versus Megaton, the real dream match, EO. Who, Mayu, what?
Yeah, exactly. Where's your face on that poster, Matt Turner?
That's right, absolutely. Right there. Hold on, I'm in it. Right here. No, I think it's going to be maybe Miya Momono, and then maybe they do something with her and Mayu somewhere in a backstage or something to set up that match that we've all been waiting for. Because again, there's going to be a lot of eyes on the show because of EO versus Mayu, and I think if you put Miya Momono on that show on your next big Korakuen after Grand Destiny, you finally get that match that we've been talking about. So I think that's the way that it's going to go about it. And then I think Chikagoto, again, maybe I know a lot of people tell me that might be Sari, but I'm thinking it's going to be Sanka. I think Sanka will be there. And then maybe we see some backstage stuff with her and Sarah Yamaoka, continuing that, because there is a lot of gas left in that tank with Sanka versus Sari. So those are my two guesses. Let's just say you, partner. What do you think?
First of all, before I go into sort of who I think S and M are, I think Sanka is a great shout. Sanka was actually one of the first people I thought of. I just want to say that the card, top to bottom, the only real, not even nitpick that I've got is I kind of wish we'd done something with Ria Sato. Apart from that, obviously you can't push everyone, and when you've top loaded this card as stellarly, if that's a word, as they have, you can't fit everything in. I'm really glad Chikagoto is getting a highlight on this card because, geez, she has earned it. I'm devastated for Koki, obviously, who is missing this card, but I think top to bottom, this card's going to be great. Kazuna Tanaka versus Shino upped the expectation level substantially at Korakuen. I was already excited for that match, but goodness gracious me, what a talent Marigold have unearthed in Shino. In terms of the only thing that stops me thinking that it's going to be Senka and Mio is why would they not just announce it? There isn't a reason to keep that secret, to keep that, again, if Senka comes out, everyone's gonna be like, great, Senka. Like everyone loves Senka. She's again, for me, the best rookie in wrestling at the moment. But is she a blockbuster name that's worthy of just not announcing her at all? Because again, if you'd have just said it's going to be Chika Goto versus Senka, everyone would have gone, hell yes. Absolutely buzzing for that. That's the only thing that stops me with that. Now, again, I'm going solely off what Sonny and Stu said about it being S and M being their first name. I mean, obviously it makes sense. Thinking outside the box for a second, what if one of those, or obviously the mystery partner of Shoko Kashino, what if one of them's Jungle Kiona?
Ooh, I like that. I really, really like that, Rob. And just really quick, just before I forget, because I will, just to kind of back up, you did say why would it be a surprise? It's Miyamoto and Sanka. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe in keeping with the spirit of Pro Wrestling Gotcha and Monday Magic, the fact that we had FWC versus Ihozan and Sanka, and then we also had that 6-person Marvelous versus Marigold tag, and we also had
Mhm.
Mayu and Sanka. So it's like, maybe we're just not announcing stuff because it's kind of cool.
Maybe.
But yeah,
It is
but
kind of cool.
that is, we kind of mentioned Jungle Kiona kind of on a joking manner last week, talking about how the rest of this card could shape up. That's a good possibility. And she has been posting a lot more on social media the past 2 or 3 days. So I like that idea. I really, really do. And man, Jungle Kiona versus Chika Goto, that's really the way to go. So yeah, I like that shout. I want to see that match. Are you thinking Jungle Kiona versus Chika Goto or Jungle Kiona versus Megaton or Jungle Kiona just in general?
I don't think we burn through Jungle Kiona versus Megaton yet. I don't feel like Ryogoku is ready for that match yet. Obviously, she's announced that she is going to be doing a produce show, which I think coincides with her 10th anniversary, actually, on the 22nd of November, which I think I said last week is going to be her final exhibition match before she returns full time to wrestling, which is honestly so cool. Like, I'm so happy for her. I really am. It would not surprise me if she is the entrant in the Gauntlet tag team match because, again, you can have Shoko do, little bits. You can have the other, whoever they are in with, can do a lot of the heavy lifting if needs be. You don't have all of the expectation of a singles match. She might be against Megaton, and if it is Megaton, much as we joke, it is going to be very heavily comedy based. Jungle's not going to be taking any bumps against Megaton. Against Chika Goto, I feel like it's a more fiery match, and if she is still not ready, obviously we saw her against Nane in a 5-minute exhibition, and it was, it was the Jungle of old. Like, she held nothing back. I'm just a little bit conscious, ease her into stuff like that.
Sure.
Again, we know absolutely nothing about this. It's just speculation, but I think Jungle will be a great fit. And also with the new signing of Shoko, who, to my knowledge, has never wrestled before. She's a singer-songwriter. Um, Having someone who is experienced with her would be the best way forward, especially if this is to be her very first wrestling match. You need someone who has been there, someone a little bit more experienced, an old head on the shoulders sort of person to help guide you through that match. We saw it with Fuwa-chan, for example, where they partnered it with Hazuki. That's the perfect fit. And obviously, I know Jungle Kiona hasn't wrestled properly in 2 years. However, the wealth of experience that Jungle will be able to bring, is unparalleled.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it would be a huge reaction again. The fact that Jungle Kiona coming back in a big, big show, and then it could be really cool just to see the interactions backstage with Io and Jungle.
Mm.
I mean, just like now Utami, who was Utami's first match with Jungle Kiona, Mayu and Jungle, they had one of the most underrated World of Stardom Championship matches in the history of that belt. I mean, that is a match that kind of flies under the radar when you talk about the great litany of matches for Stardom's red belt. Man, oh, I hope you're right. One way or another, I would love this. Even if she comes out You know, if she's not wrestling, she comes out after a match, or they show her backstage or something, like the fact they then kind of lit that light that fire there, and then help really promote Jungle's show. I think it's a perfect opportunity for it's a win-win for everybody. Everybody wants to see her. She's promoting a show. She's, you know, it's her last exhibition match before she comes back. Maybe she's on the show, but buddy, as much as I want to see Matt Turner versus Megaton, I want to see Jungle Kiona even more involved in some way in this. I think it might be the only time I've ever referred to myself as a third person, like I'm The Rock. But yeah,
Absolutely.
really,
Finally, Matt
finally.
Turner has come back to Ryogoku.
Keegan. I like how Sonny and Stu and even Tom were like kind of poking fun at Mayu. Like, I wonder if she's gonna cut a post. Yeah, she's gonna cut a post-match promo and mess that up. So that's why Julia should come back, not for just for the promo. You know, so remember she popped Julia with that.
Absolutely lost it, didn't she, Julia? Yeah, this card is certainly going to be Marigold's biggest ever. I think that goes without saying. Even on Mayu versus Io alone, but they've got some really fantastic support matches for that dream main event. You know, Utami versus Miku is going to be fantastic in those preview matches we've seen of those two. Like they're not going to disappoint. Miku at the moment is doing the best work of her career, in my honest opinion. Obviously, I've seen all of her stuff in Marigold, little bits of her stuff in AWG. And to me, she is doing the best stuff of her career, better than the stuff with Mirai, which I was really, really high on. This stuff with Utami is fantastic. Mai Sakurai versus Victoria Yuzuki. Even if Victoria Yuzuki doesn't win here, she's been elevated phenomenally through obviously coming runner-up in the Dream Star, and then this feud with Mai Sakurai leading into Grand Destiny has been phenomenal. Shino and Kazuna Tanaka, Seri Yamaoka, who is going to get herself launched all around Ryogoku. That's going to be so fun. I cannot wait for the inevitable suplex moment, because you know for a fact that she is going to attempt to deadlift Chihiro Hashimoto and she's not going to be able to do it. And then there's going to be a moment when she gut wrenches and the entire place is going to lose their mind. It's going to be fantastic. Whoever Chikugoto wrestles, I'm just glad she's got, like I say, that solo spotlight. Just very quickly, of the titles on show, because obviously there's only the Superfly title that isn't up for grabs here. How many titles do you see changing hands?
I could be way off on here, but I think just the tag titles. I don't think Utami loses. I don't think that Mai Sakurai loses. I just don't. And can I be? And how sure am I that on a scale of 1 to 10? Like a 5.5. Like, I'm really, obviously we'll do our full preview and predictions next week, but it's just, I just think that Utami's going to retain. I just think the fact that Utami's never main evented, gone into a pay-per-view main event as red belt champion. If she loses here, at the same time, I think it'd be okay because Miko Ano's on an absolute tear. But I just think that Utami retains, and I just think there's more left for Sakurai to do as a United National Champion. Will Victoria Yuzuki be there? Yes, absolutely. Will I be shocked if Yuzuki wins the title? No, not at all. But I just think that there's more left in the tank for Utami with the red belt run and Sakurai with the United National Champion. I do want to say I really like how you have, obviously Miko Ano did win the Dream Star and she gets the crack at Utami. Victoria Yuzuki did win. She made it to the final, so she did win the Dream Block. So even though she didn't win, she gets rewarded by challenging for the secondary belt, which I've always liked that. I always thought, like, even in the G1, like, you got to go through hell to win one of those blocks. And even if you don't win the whole thing, if you come runner up, you should be rewarded with something. Like, I think that's something that the 5-star should do as well. Like the runner up, for example, Zumi, the runner up, she should get a shot at the Wonder. Obviously, she did challenge for the red belt, but you know what I mean. I think if you win that block, even though you didn't win the whole thing, you should be rewarded with a championship, because it's not like, oh, this was easy until I got to the final. I had no problem defeating everybody. But I like how they've kind of done that here with the Dream Star. Even though Yuzuki didn't win the tournament, you know, she got to the final and was just one match away of winning the whole thing, but she's rewarded with the challenging Sakurai. So I really, really like that. But yeah, this card, man, is shaping up. But I think you're absolutely right. We talked about with Seri Yamaoka. I think early on she's going to go for the German. She's not going to hit it, but it's going to get built up, and eventually she's going to hit that German onto Chihiro Hashimoto, and it's going to be a massive, massive falsie. But again, buddy, I'm going to throw that back at you. How about you? Do you agree with me that you think it's only one belt that's going to change, or do you see more gold changing hands coming up next Sunday?
I mean, the dynamics of that tag match are going to be really interesting because it's heel versus heel. Um, I will be honest, I don't see the Twin Star Championships changing hands. I think Magenta will retain, and I think that we will have a babyface usurp them. I personally think that they will build in Koki and Chica to take the belts off Magenta. Again, obviously that's not going to happen now for nobody's fault.
Right.
I think if there is going to be a title that changes hands, I think it will be Victoria Yuzuki taking the belt off Mai Sakurai. I personally, for me, that is the belt I'd put most onto. Now, again, I'm similar to you, my friend. Am I confident of that? Absolutely not. No. Um, However, I feel like Victoria Yuzuki is at a real peak at the moment. She doesn't even have to hold the belt for a long time. We saw with Mayu's first red belt reign, Mayu's first white belt reign. These aren't long reigns. You can come back and you can have an even better reign. Um, but I think it would be cool to really see her cemented as one of those sort of top 4 Marigold talents, top 5 Marigold talents. I don't think Miku Ano loses anything, obviously, apart from the match and the belt, by losing this match. Again, we'll talk a little bit about Utami's comments because, again, it's Tokyo Sports, and it is worth noting that Tokyo Sports is a kayfabe newspaper as well. So, a kayfabe site. So you do take what you read with a little pinch of salt, but that's not to say that there isn't some real things laced in there as well. But I think Utami walks out of this the champion as well. It is worth pointing out as well that you said about how you like the runner-up of the Dream Star getting a shot at the white belt. Don't forget they did that last year because Utami won the Dream Star, got a
That's
red belt
right.
shot at Saudi, and then Mai Sakurai came second in the Dream Star, had a white belt shot against Miku Ano, and they both won. So again, there's it seems that even if it's unofficial, it does seem to be something that they do, and I agree. I like that as well. Grand Destiny, obviously, pay-per-view next Sunday, 26th of October. We are going to be going live on Sunday. We are going to be going live Monday. We are going to put something out there just to remind everyone. So Monday night, we are going to be live talking about Marigold Grand Destiny. So please come, join us, ask questions, just chill, and yeah, we'll have a nice little chat about what I imagine will be a half decent match between Mayu and Io. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Speaking about Utami, then obviously she did give a interview with Tokyo Sports, where she cut a little bit of a frustrated figure. Obviously, as Matt mentioned, the main event has been confirmed to be Mayu versus Io at Grand Destiny, and me and you were flip flopping between what we would put as the main event. If it is Utami and Miku, how do they top Mayu and Io? That's not a problem now. However, during the interview that she gave, she cut a frustrated figure that the match is set to be the semi-main, citing her World of Stardom reign in 2021 and how there was times where her matches were bumped from the main event for other things. She has promised to deliver a match so good it would make people question why her match wasn't the main event. So again, you take this a little bit with a pinch of salt. It is pro wrestling for a start, and Tokyo Sports as well. It is a little bit of a kayfabe newspaper. So, again, take this with a pinch of salt. Do I think that Utami's a little bit frustrated? Yes, quite possibly. It is wrestling after all. Do I think that Utami understands that Mayu versus Io happening again would main event most wrestling shows worldwide? Yes, I think she does. Again, it's not like Marigold are running pay-per-views every single month. If we were getting to, October and Utami still had not main evented a pay-per-view and it was a pay-per-view every month, then we would be having a very, very different conversation. But I think the stars have just aligned to give us this match that we didn't think we were going to get again. And until Mayu joined Marigold, we weren't going to have again. So I think it's just an unfortunate circumstance that Utami will be the semi-main event. I also think that that means that Utami's going to retain as well, because I think for her to lose in the semi-main, having not main evented a pay-per-view, I do think that they will announce something for January, personally, at this show. Maybe I'm just being greedy because we'll be there, but I do think they'll announce something. And I think Utami will main event that show. That might be where she drops it. But again, I do think that this is just it's one of those where sort of nobody really expected it to happen. And then as soon as Mayu signed, everyone expected it to happen. It was a case of, right, this match has to happen. If it's going to happen, it's got to be the main event, because there's no match in Joshi for me that follows that.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I think another reason why Utami retains is because if Miko Ano does win the belt, it'll be quickly overshadowed. Like,
Oh,
but
God, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
because Mayu and Io is going to be absolutely insane. So I think that's I think that maybe they run that back. Maybe they run it back at first stream, and that's where Miko Ano wins the championship. So, um, again, we've been talking about speculating for the past few weeks what goes on last, and it's kind of heads you wins, tails you wins. It's like, do you
Oh,
put
sure.
Utami and Miko Ano on last because it's for the big belt, but at the same time, are you going to be able to follow Io versus Mayu? Maybe, maybe not. And then the catch 22 is, well, now you're not putting your red belt champion Utami on last. And it'd be one thing if it was like if Miko Ano was red belt champion and MIRAI was red belt champion, but it's like, yeah, this has been a thorn in Utami's side since she was red belt champion back in the Stardom days. So it's like you can kind of play off that, and you can may as well make a storyline out of it. And obviously, she's showing frustration here. So again, it's heads you win, tails you win. Whatever match goes on last, you can debate either way, which we have, and now we know what's going on last. But the fact that that Utami took to Tokyo Sports, as you mentioned, Rob, it's a little bit of a kayfabe site and kayfabe newsletter, is the fact that you may as well run with this. Like, run with this. Hey, I'm frustrated. I was champion going into the Nanai Takahashi retirement match. I didn't main event there. There was times when I was red belt champion in Stardom and I wasn't main eventing on some shows. But now I'm really, really frustrated. But now the fact that she said, now I'm going to put a match on that's going to be worthy of the main event, as if I wasn't excited enough for Utami versus Miko Ano. And obviously we'll talk about on the two shows we're going to cover, because they, to quote you and Judas Priest, they went hell bent for leather on some of those
Oh,
exchanges where I
absolutely.
was like, wow, like Utami is just so great at building up these championship matches going into the pay-per-views. We saw like that, her stuff with her and Mirai for those last 2 or 3 weeks going into the championship match. And I was like, what's going to happen in the actual match? Like, I don't want to see anybody get hurt for real, but oh my goodness. So, and that's what this is. So it's
scared for their safety.
you're absolutely right. And I was like, man, that was hard hitting. I'm glad that everybody walked out somewhat okay. But I like how Tommy's like super fired up and like, yeah, you think that's gonna be the main event? Just watch my match. So you're literally gonna have so many great matches like back to back to back. We've been seeing it in the world of Joshi the last few years. It's one thing to have a great main event. It's one thing to have a great semi-main event. But when you give us like 3 great matches back to back to back, which more than likely it's probably going to be Sakurai versus Yuzuki, Utami versus Miko Ano, and then Mayu versus Io. It's just like, wow. It's one thing to have one great match on a pay-per-view that like carries the pay-per-view, that people are like, that one match was worth my money. But the fact that we're going to get at least 3 of them, that are probably going to over-deliver, and then you're throwing in Sari versus Hashimoto, you're putting in Kazuna Tanaka versus Shino. And again, we're gonna get
wait for that
we're
match.
we're gonna get into that. And just Minoru, I just want to know, where's Minoru Tanaka and all this. I just watched the match with him and Tajiri from Battle Arts. I think it was like 1999. I was like, oh man. But anywho, yeah, again, I like how she's running with it. And I even made mention this going into the Dream Star. Like, Utami seems to be really focused, because even though she was like more focused than normal, because even though she's the red belt champion, everybody's looking at Mayu like, hey, we got Mayu, arguably the greatest Joshi of all time, coming off arguably her greatest in-ring year ever. We got Mayu. And then Utami's like, what about me? And I thought Utami's, as great as Mayu's Dream Star was, I thought Utami's was even better. So she's going into this show with a chip on her shoulder. I think we're going to see that next level Utami that we have seen so many times before, whether it's in Stardom, whether it's in Marigold. So I'm super excited for a super duper double looper, motivated Utami to taking on Miko Ano. I would not be shocked that when this show is over and this match is over and we're reviewing that again live, more than likely on that Monday, folks, that we're saying that's the best Miko Ano match we've ever seen. And that is just another great match in the catalog that is Utami Hayashishita. Super pumped for that match and even more with Utami's interview.
Yeah, again, you're the top champion in the company. You're not coming out in an interview saying this for realsies 2 weeks before the show. Your company's biggest show. Again, it's all promotion for this show, isn't it? It's how the wrestling world works. But, there probably is a little bit, especially with that Stardom run. I think that was harsh. And we've talked about that a lot over the course of the years, how Utami's red belt reign wasn't really treated with the respect it deserved right until probably post Shuri the
Sure.
first time. And for it to perceive to be happening here. And again, she's so unlucky because, again, it's not like it's been knocked down for a twin star match. It's not like it's been knocked down for the white belt. This isn't Tetsuya Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 8. It's the fact that she's been usurped by the Nanae retirement, which, again, living Joshi legend in Nanae. And she's been usurped by Mayu versus Io, which is the Joshi Dream match. So it's just, unfortunately, it's how it happens. And I imagine that Utami completely understands that. I mean, what I'd love, just another string to that, is who was in that Nanae match, the one that usurped Utami from the main event? Miko Auno. So Miko Auno has main evented more pay-per-view shows than Utami as champion. So that could be just, again, not that you need it, because, again, I think they've built this very, very well, but it is something, again, to really keep an eye on.
So you're saying Utami should hit Miko Auno even harder than we thought going in. Okay, I like that.
In this interview, she did say that Miko Auno had said, I'm going to be 200% going into this show, which I just want to clarify is a mathematical impossibility. I'm just going to put that out there.
Steiner math, buddy. Steiner
math. Come on, Steiner math. Well, Utami then went one better, and I say one better because she went, well, if she's going to be 200%, I'm going to be 1,000%. And I was like, all right, now we're just being silly. Come on.
In the words of Allison Danger, because obviously Allison coached at NXT, the PC. She goes, I never want to hear anybody saying they're going to give me more than 100%, because 100% is the cup is full. If you're giving more than that, you're going to spill over, and now you're going to leave a mess. So I'm just assuming this table that they're doing 200% on and 1,000%, you're going to need a mop and a shot back because you're making a mess.
I just want to clarify that what I'm taking from Miko Auno saying this 200% line is that she's not kicking as hard as she can. That is a frightening concept. Exactly. Hashtag pray for Utami, because goodness gracious me. Just very quickly, nipping back to that press conference, as I mentioned, Stardom. Oh my God, I keep saying Stardom. It's because I've got notes for both podcasts up at the moment. Marigold did announce the signing of Shoko Kishino to Marigold. She's a Japanese singer-songwriter. She was presented to the public for the first time as a Marigold wrestler at that press conference. And as we mentioned, she will be with a mystery partner in that gauntlet tag. It wasn't announced, or at least it wasn't made 100% clear whether she will be a full-time member of the roster, because we've got people on the roster like Arina Yamanaka who wrestles at certain shows. We've got obviously Shino, who is still at school, so will wrestle at certain shows. There's no indication at the moment as to whether Shoko will be a full-time member or whether it will be around tour dates, or if she's doing this instead of being a singer-songwriter. So again, I imagine, Matt, that time will tell.
Yeah, I really like. I obviously know nothing about her, but I really like her hair in this photo. Looks really, really cool. Yeah, looks awesome. So, yeah, we shall see, good sir. But again, it's always nice. We've seen it's worked forever in professional wrestling, bringing in celebrities. You look at WrestleMania 1 with Muhammad Ali and Liberace and Billy Martin, and again, you mentioned before, you look at All-Star Grand Queendom, they brought in Fua Chan. So when you can kind of put the celebrities in there that are really passionate about professional wrestling, not just there for a paycheck or to get, their YouTube count up, that are really passionate and want to do it, and then you're throwing in all the other great wrestling, I think it works. I think it really, really works. And it's going to be interesting to see what she does in that tag gauntlet.
Now, obviously, today we are focusing on Mirai, who has officially left Marigold. And I'd actually typed something up for the Patreon site that said about how we didn't know where Mirai was going. Turns out she's not one to make us wait, because we already know where Mirai's first post-Marigold match is going to be. So today as we record, which is the 15th of October, Mirai made her first post-Marigold appearance when she appeared at Tomoka Inaba's produce show following the main event. And Mirai challenged Tomoka to a singles match at Azusa Inaba's 18th birthday celebration on the 29th of November. So Mirai's first match post Marigold will be the 29th of November. It is worth noting that Inaba and Mirai very, very familiar with each other, both trained at the Kaientai Dojo under Taka Michinoku. Of course, both more recently were a part of God's Eye together in Stardom as well. Tomoka Inaba has progressed phenomenally since Mirai was in Stardom, is a completely different wrestler since Mirai was in Stardom. And I think, irrelevant of what you think of Mirai's run in Marigold, and we'll be getting into that during the Korakuen Hall show, she is also a completely different wrestler than she was in Stardom, for me at least, anyway. And I mean that in the best possible way. I think she needed that change to really unlock that version of herself. So I'm very, very excited for this match, Matt.
Yeah, and I was telling you off camera that I looked at this. I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw this, and for like a brief second, I thought it was Mayu because of the hair. I was like,
Yeah.
"What?" Like Mayu was like, "I'm not worrying about that EO match. I want Tomoka Inaba about a JTO show." I'm like, "Oh, wait, it's Mirai." And it was funny. I text you and I was like, "Mirai showed up, and they're doing Mirai versus Tomoka Inaba," and you're like, "Oh, I thought she had a 90-day complete clause." I was like, "Well," I said, "This is Rossy Ogawa, not TKO rap, clearly." It's going to be interesting because obviously this is the match that we're getting in about 5 or 6 weeks time. Again, she just had her final appearance in Marigold not that long ago, and we're already booking matches. So it's going to be interesting to see if she has an actual match between now and then, or if she's just going to heal herself up, because she was taped up quite a bit in these last 2 shows that we're going to talk about. So is she going to have, yeah, again, obviously I thought this was great because this is a match that had a lot of eyeballs on, with Tomoka and Starlight Kid versus Shuri and Miko Wada, which again, I have no idea why it wasn't streamed, but this was something that a lot of people were looking at. And here comes Mirai, and it's like, I'm going to challenge Tomoka Inaba at her sister's 18th, basically birthday bash show coming up at the end of November. So something to look forward to the end of November, Rob, is if we don't have enough great wrestling. But yeah, she's not one to just sit at home. We're already booking things moving forward. So again, it's going to be interesting to see if she has any matches between now and then, or if she's just going to kind of do her own thing and kind of heal up a little bit, because we talked about it with her matches with Utami leading up to that championship match she had back in the spring. Mirai works a very hard-hitting style. So my guess is she's definitely not 100%. So maybe she's taking this time to heal up before she goes on this big, independent run. But great way to start it, Rob. Really great way. Showing up at this show that has a lot of star power. Again, Starlight Kid, Shuri Miko Wada challenging Tomoka Inaba at a JTO show. A lot of lariats, a lot of chops, a lot of kicks, a lot of forms in that match. Super excited for that. And good on Mirai, not resting on her laurels, really, really getting the ball rolling on her freelance career.
Yeah, obviously there was, in a way, there was very little speculation as to where she would go. It did seem that she wanted to go out on her own. The way she phrased the promo was wanting to leave the nest somewhat, go out and spread her wings and do her own thing. It was very much sort of loaded towards being a freelancer, and obviously that's what we're getting here. So it'll be interesting to see how Mirai does, sort of flitting between promotions as a freelancer, as an unsigned talent, because of course that means that she can pop up in the likes of Sendai Girls and wrestle Yumiko Iwatas and Chihiro Hashimoto's. She can pop up in Oz Academy and wrestle Mayumi Ozaki, Sioriano, all those people. She can pop up in Wave and win the Regina de Wave Championship. I would love nothing more than for Mirai to realize her potential in this freelance run and become completely undeniable, as a top champion somewhere, because she deserves it. She absolutely deserves it. And I think, well, we'll talk about Mirai in Marigold and sort of where she stood in the pecking order for the Crimson Red Belt when we talk about Korakuen. But again, we wish her nothing but the best. Rossi Ogawa actually put out a tweet that was really nice, which, as though it wasn't already very obvious that this has ended on very amicable terms, his tweet put that to rest, that he wishes her absolutely nothing but the best. He doesn't doubt that they'll see each other again, and she'll again, it was a very, very nice send off from the Hatman. Moving on, again, this is absolutely nothing to do with Marigold, really, apart from the fact it's got EO in it. EO Sky recently did an interview with Chris Van Vliet. I believe yesterday it came out.
Came out yesterday, yeah.
It's just the entire interview in English, which, considering this is her second language, and considering, according to the interview, she didn't really begin taking English seriously until she got the call from WWE in 2018. She's pretty damn near flawless. I'm not going to lie. She's even shortening words like "cuz" instead of "because." the cadence is there. There was a bit where she said she'd started dreaming in English, which I thought was quite funny. Overall, she just came across as an absolute sweetheart. I didn't know where we were going to talk about this, so I just thought we'd stick it in the Marigold news. To be perfectly honest, with the wrestling in Marigold soon, absolutely lovely interview, very insightful in terms of her time in Japan, her time with Stardom, how she got the text or how she got the call from WWE. Didn't realize it was Dark Angel that had opened the door for her. So that was nice when I found that out. And also the story about the bin. Now this really did make me laugh. So obviously she did the spot, I believe it's Survivor Series. Was it Survivor Series or was it War Games? Where she put the bin on and hit a moonsault from the top of the cage.
That was the Survivor Series War Game. She did the dive on NXT War Games, but she's done the trash can moonsault. Yeah, that was you were right. It was Survivor Series and War Game. So because it was gotcha. So you got it right, buddy.
Thanks, man. But she said about how she'd never done it before and it was quite dangerous and she needed to practice. So she'd gone to the performance center and she said that she'd just literally taken one of the bins that was around there, had taken the bin bag out of it and had cleaned it and sort of done the spot with it on. And I don't know why, it really tickled me, the idea of someone trying to put rappers in a bin and not being able to because EO keeps running off with the bins and doing moonsaults with them. It's like, for God's sake, EO, come back, I need the bin. It really, really made me laugh. The interview itself, I think, is about 40 minutes. It genuinely is worth your time. I don't get a lot of time to listen to Chris Van Vliet because he just generally pumps out interviews like you would not believe. But this one, genuinely worth your time. Really, really worth your time. And again, the fact that she does this entire interview in really, really good English, absolute power to her.
Yeah, I mean, she comes off as an absolute sweetheart, which obviously Allison Danger has told us several times, both off and on air. Yeah, and obviously we had the chance to meet her twice during WrestleMania weekend, an absolute sweetheart of a person. I love it how she has this ongoing feud with Cookie Dough, and she's like, I don't know how you Americans love Cookie Dough. And I like it how when she goes, when Chris is like, when you're not wrestling, what are your hobbies? And she's like, sleep and eating ice cream.
Yeah. What she called a cat?
What was her
Santo? Santo after El Santo. That's how much she loves wrestling. I was like, yes, this is a person we can get behind, this EO Sky.
Yeah, she's gonna do A-okay. Yeah, it came off as an absolute sweetheart. Again, it's like a 45-minute interview. Definitely worth your listen. Again, you're absolutely right. Perfect English, really great stuff. And Chris Van Vliet he's phenomenal. He really is. He's really worked so hard to own his craft of doing these interviews and is doing this full time. And I've had friends of mine that have been on shows that he has done either autograph signings on or like appearances, and they said that he is an A++ guy. So you like hearing that, you like seeing great people doing great things. Not only that, Rob, he shares a birthday with Andre the Giant, Saida, and me. So we had the same birthday as well. Yes. And I'm looking at this picture and he's wearing Michael Jordan shoes, my all-time favorite athlete. So as if I couldn't love this guy enough. But yeah, Chris does a great job with these interviews. I mean, we've seen him interview The Rock. I think he said he interviewed Tom Cruise one time. So it's like he's interviewed everybody. But I like how he did say that EO's one of his most requested interviews, which is crazy because it really seems like this guy, the world's at his oyster. He can interview just about anybody he wants to in the world of sports and or entertainment, and that EO is one of his most requested interviews. So that's really great to hear. It just goes to show you just how big of a worldwide star that EO is.
I mean, something she did say, which I thought was really interesting, was that she is the first Japanese person to win at WrestleMania. I can't remember the exact time scale, but I was like, that's wild, because you think like Asuka, you think Shinsuke Nakamura, and actually you think, oh my God, yeah, their track record at WrestleMania is dreadful. I mean, for a while, the Japanese person that won the most at WrestleMania was the very much not Japanese Yokozuna, which is quite the stat. When the Japanese person with the best track record at WrestleMania is a Hawaiian man, things aren't going well. But I think that's a real feather in the cap for EO as well.
I do want to say, I think she meant women's because this is my WrestleMania brain. That WrestleMania 7, Demolition lost to Tenryu. Yes, that Tenryu, and I think it was Sato.
Yeah,
So in like
yeah.
less than a minute, I'm like, what are you doing squashing Demolition? What's going on? But other than that, yeah, you're right. Asuka, she lost the undefeated streak to Charlotte. I mean, she's lost all these big championship matches, but I
Mhm.
know she's the first one to walk out as champion.
Walk out as champion,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe that's what she meant. So it's, and again, we were there. It was the best match of the whole entire weekend of WrestleMania. So, and I think even Chris said that's his favorite match he's seen in wrestling all year. So it's just like, again, there's a guy that really knows his stuff. And even Io said it's one of, if not her all-time favorite matches. So again, great interview, great stuff. Io comes off as an absolute sweetheart. And Chris he's doing the Lord's work, getting professional wrestling, making it even bigger. So good on everybody. That is a win-win situation for everybody, brother.
Let's start talking about some shows then. And first, we are going to night 5 of Battle Heart, which took place on the 11th of October, Saturday, the 11th of October, from the 176 box in Osaka. The attendance 403 people, which the company did announce to be a sellout for the way that they had configured the venue. Obviously, they've done bigger numbers at the venue. They've done a 450. I believe they've done a close to 500 as well in the venue as well. So they can configure it in different ways. But for this, 403, and it was announced as a sellout. It's an 11.62% decrease from Marigold's previous show in the venue, where they drew 450 on the 23rd of September. However, it's still well above the company's average at the venue, which is 374 of the 13 times they have run it. With this, by the way, the 176 box becomes the second most run venue in Marigold's history, alongside Shinkiba First Ring and behind only Korakuen Hall. So Marigold really, really beginning to make a home in Osaka with the 176 box. In terms of the results, then, they are as follows. We open with a three-way match. Now Ishikawa defeated Megaton and Rhea Sato. Now Ishikawa locking in a sleeper hold on Megaton, of course, in 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Tag team action next. Chika Goto and Minami Yuki. They defeated Kamomo Minami and Nagisa Takibana, with Chika Goto pinning Nagisa with the GCS in 9 minutes and 27 seconds. We had a tag team match next. The Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Chiaki defeating the Flying Penguin and Hummingbird. Misa Matsui pinning Hummingbird with the diving double foot stomp in 8 minutes and 47 seconds. Flying Penguin and Hummingbird really do need a tag team name, something like the Flock or like the Aviary, something bird related. 8-woman tag match. Miku Ano, Sariyamoka, Victoria Yuzuki, and Yuka Yamazaki defeated Utami Hayashishita, Mai Sakurai, Kazuna Tanaka, and Shino. Miku Ano pinning Utami Hayashishita clean with the 1 second EX in 14 minutes and 24 seconds. And then, of course, the main event of the show was Mirai's farewell gauntlet. I will go through all of these results, so bear with me. 1 minute time limits for all of these matches. So, Kamomo Minami entered in a time limit draw. Yuki Yamazaki, Nagisa Takibana, Hummingbird, Flying Penguin, Rhea Sato, Chiaki all ended in 1 minute time limit draws. Misa Matsui, the first person to defeat Mirai in 59 seconds, just sneaking it in there with the European clutch. Mirai then went to time limit draws with Naoya Ishikawa, Kazuna Tanaka, Minami Yuki. Now this was just uncalled for. This was unnecessary. Mirai defeated Megaton in 33 seconds. Absolute disgrace. She then wrestled Shino. The Koki Amare bit I thought was really nice. The fact that they did a little bit of a skit, if you like, a little bit of a wrestling match with Koki, which was great. Obviously, Chika Goto and Victoria Yuzuki, they all ended in time limit draws. Sariyamoka defeated Mirai in 16 seconds. Absolutely should be utilizing that springboard dropkick more. And then the final three, Miku Ano, Utami Hayashishita, and then Mai Sakurai, all ended in time limit draws. That final moment between Mai Sakurai and Mirai being the best bit of the show. A really, really, really lovely moment. Just before I throw to Matt, it is worth pointing out that Marigold did announce that Mayu wouldn't be on this show due to poor health. And I do wonder, Matt, with the state of her ankles, she has said that obviously she's got pain in her Achilles. And I think she put on Twitter that it was stopping her sleeping. I do wonder, with the 3 shows we've got coming up on the 17th, 18th, and 19th, I do wonder if we'll see Mayu on all 3 of those. And I wonder if actually Marigold might wrap her in cotton wool and just go, do you know what? Take a break. She'll probably be at the Yamaguchi card because obviously that's where she's from. So I imagine she'll probably try her best to be on that card. But it wouldn't surprise me if we get an announcement to say Mayu's not fit enough to be on these cards. And then obviously trying to get herself in the best possible condition for Rio for the 26th.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe for her homecoming show, put her in like an 8 or 10-person tag
Yeah.
and have her just kind of do a spot or 2. But I mean, the last thing you want is her, if it's her Achilles and she ruptures that, not only is she missing
Yeah.
that match with Io, she's probably missing anywhere between 12 to 14 months. So again, not only missing the
Yeah.
biggest match in company history, it's going to draw a lot of tickets, but now you're taking your biggest star and putting her on the shelf for upwards to what could be a year. So obviously, as much as I would love to see Mayu on every wrestling show ever, you don't want to risk it. That is the risk versus reward. Again, it's not like it's like, well, we need to put people in Korakuen, or we need to draw people in 176, or we need to, like, no, you need her for the match with Io.
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
and I'm gonna real quick, Rob, if she does get injured and she can't do that match, who do you pivot to? Like at that point, like who do you pivot to? I mean,
Matt, you know who you pivot
I
to.
know,
There's only one person.
yeah, so basically the M turns into an I, and so then it's Megaton and
Exactly.
Io. Yeah, so or there's
Um,
Mio Shirai, her sister. So
oh, there you
well,
go.
there it is.
Um,
But yeah,
I mean,
I would err on the side of caution, just
I
not
don't know
have
what
again.
you do in that situation, man. Like, seriously, if Mayu gets obviously touch wood, nothing is going to happen. It'll be fine, and it's just a little bit of wear and tear, nothing more than that. Which is what I'm hoping it is and what I'm assuming it is. But legitimately, I'm just looking down the roster now. Obviously, Mirai's gone. Um, my Sakurai victories. I mean, everyone's in like title matches, and I don't imagine you change the title matches. So
You
yeah, it will
parachute
be it will be an interesting one if it
you
were to happen.
parachute.
Again, I don't even want to think about it. Let's not even think about it. Let's not put
All
that in the
right.
universe.
You get well, Mayu. Yeah, let her heal up. But just to answer your question, if you put her on that homecoming show, if she's going to wrestle 8, 10-person tag, or you just have her sign autographs and cut a promo, say the name wrong, or the wrong name of the building, have her throw something in the crowd. You know what I mean? We always say, hey,
Absolutely.
Mayu play the hits. And we don't mean just the dragon suplex or the moonsault. Play the hits of cutting the wrong promo, talking about the wrong promotion and the wrong
Absolutely.
building. Yeah, those are hits as well because
That's
she's
what we
Mayu.
want.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want.
She is advertised. It's Shino's homecoming match, and she's advertised alongside Shino and Mai Sakurai against Megaton, Miku Ano, and Victoria Yuzuki in that match. So again, hopefully, just takes it easy for these 3 matches and just gets better. Let's talk about the opener then, and of course now Ishikawa submitting Megaton, which I think is pretty much becoming a certainty in every match that Megaton is in. Sunset, Sunrise, Megaton submits in a match. That seems to be the 3 certainties we get in life. But Matt, 7 minutes, a decent opener. There's not really a lot else you can say about it, is there?
I always say you want to start your show off with a hot opener. They should have flipped this in the tag match we're going to talk about. Because again,
The tag
three-way,
match was great.
you're going to get. They should have put this one on second because you got your comedy. Obviously, her spots went in really well. The crowd, they applauded for her. It was the best part, of course, was the great wrestling with Naomi Ishikawa and Rhea Sato. But you're absolutely right. The kind of fun stuff, and then now eventually gets rid of Rhea Sato. She picks her spots very much like Mirai did in the gauntlet match. We'll get into that. And she forces Megaton to tap out with a rear naked choke. 3 stars for me, good sir.
You're absolutely right. This match was fantastic. I mean, we waxed lyrical about Komomo Minami on the last podcast, and again, another great showing here. Her and Nagisa Takibana, by the way, underrated as a team. I thought they did really well. And again, the focus, Chikagoto and Minami Yuki. Obviously, we know that Chikagoto was supposed to be being paired with Koki Amare, but this could be, for Minami Yuki, the opportunity to really ascend, become Chikagoto's sort of full-time partner as we wait for Koki Amare to recover and really begin to make a name for herself as Chikagoto's partner and sort of, as a fully fledged tag team.
Rob, you made mention that you think Magenta is retaining next weekend, and you think it's
Yeah.
going to go to a babyface team. Which obviously the first one you slot in there is Celine Flora. If
Hmm.
Yuzuki doesn't, even if she does win the championship, you can go either way. But why not do? Because again, we thought it would be Chikagoto and Kokiyamare winning the belts there. Why don't you do Kokiyamare Manami Yuki, or shake things up and let it be Nagisa Takabana and Kamon Manami? Have them beat Magenta maybe at a Korakuen Hall or even at a Marvelous show. You can do that because they were absolutely fantastic here. And again, we
They
will
were.
talk about that. We will talk about that show stealing performance that they had in Korakuen Hall just a little bit. Arguably
Oh, it
the
was
greatest,
fantastic.
arguably the best match on that show, considering what was built around that show. This is great. Again, Chikagoto and Manami Yuki have really great chemistry. Manami Yuki again won the Rookie of the Year tournament. Chikagoto is right up there as one of the most improved wrestlers in all of wrestling this past year. And they gel really well together. And Kamomo Manami, it just really seems over the last 3 or 4 months that she's like staking her claim to be one of these great young wrestlers in Marigold. And Nagisa Takebana is not that far behind. I mean, this match had great chemistry. Not only would Chikagoto Manami Yuki as a team, not only with Kamomo Manami, Nagisa Takebana as a team, everything flowed well. It
Hmm.
fit well. You were just watching it. Great professional tag team wrestling match. And the fact that it got a little less than 10 minutes, wish it got like a minute or two longer, but I think that they didn't overstay their welcome. There was a lot of really great stuff there. I love how Kamomo Nami's been using this DDT. Like she hits the DDT, which shuts force, that the person, when they sell, they take the head bump and then they come back up like they hit so hard it almost ricochets off the mat. By the time the person comes up and they're holding their head, Kamomonami's already off the other side of the ropes and hits those shotgun knees. So I like that 1-2 combination we've been seeing for her as of late, and I think you're going to see that more into her repertoire excuse me, because it fits really well. It's a really cool spot. By the time the knees come, they don't see it coming because they're selling the head from the DDT. I love Nagisa Takebana when it just looks like that she's kind of on the back end. But her opponent will shoot her into the turnbuckle and she does that double jump springboard into the high cross body. It gets the really big reaction. In a tag match with somebody explosive like Kamo Manami, she hits that big spot, you get the big pop, and then she can tag out, and then you can build towards your finish, which ultimately what happened here. And it really looked like Team Chikagoto was on the back foot. Eventually, Chikagoto is able to weather the storm, hits the big boot, and then the GCS, the Goto choke slam, putting away one Kamomo Manami. Again, I really think that they should have started this match to start the show because you always want to start with a hot opener. This match was fantastic. 3 3/4 stars for me, good sir.
It's funny you should say about obviously who should dethrone Magenta. I think if Magenta were further into their reign, and if Manami Yuki and Nagisa Takibana in particular were just slightly further into their careers, because as improved as Manami Yuki is undoubtedly it, and as Nagisa Takibana undoubtedly is, do I think they're ready for a championship? I mean, they did put the twin star belt on Sari Amoka, and Sari Amoka was what 2 months into her career when they won the tag belt. So they're certainly not opposed to doing that. I kind of wish it was Chika Goto and Komomo Minami that were the team because I think together they are more than ready to be twin star champions. I think it might be slightly too early for Nagisa Takibana, even though she is again phenomenally improved. Minami Yuki potentially it could be, especially if they frame it as this complete shock. Maybe the fact we've seen Maria take opponents far too lightly before. There's an arrogance to her, and Riko Kawahata we know is fantastic, but if they were to take Minami Yuki in particular very, very lightly, then I could see maybe a roll up happening. But again, be interested to see what they pivot to. If indeed the plan was initially supposed to be the Twin Towers, which we think it might have been, but again, that's purely speculation on our part. Moving on, then we have the aviary, which is what I'm going to start calling them, Hummingbird and the Flying Penguin. I think this was very clearly going to be a Darkness Revolution victory, simply because we knew that Misamatsu and Jackie were going to be the next challengers. Makes the most sense for them to get a win here, a momentum building win here. What did you think of this?
I loved it how every time Darkness Revolution like they would cheat, they'd get the advantage, and then they would start wrestling, and then the bird duo, as you what'd you call them, the aviators?
Oh my god, we're calling them the aviators. I call them the aviary. The aviators is better.
There you go. The aviators, and then they would use like their high speed superfly style to get the advantage, which I really liked. Again, you had Chiaki and Misa Matsui, they jump the aviators to start that match. And then you get a little bit of heat, and then they do like these flying penguin hummingbird, they do like these dueling high cross bodies, which I really enjoyed. Again, their tag team work was fantastic. Again, maybe it's them. Put them in a long program with Magenta. Who wouldn't want to see that? Or Celine Flora, or again, Chikagoto, Manami Yuki. There's a lot of great tag teams in Marigold that I think if they really invest in, you can have some really great tag matches with 5 or 6 teams kind of around the loop. And again, Flying Penguin and Hummingbird, they work really, really well. Some really great stuff there. Eventually it's just too much Darkness Revolution. It's just too much of bending and kind of breaking the rules. We basically, they take out Flying Penguin. We get almost this mini match with Misa Matsui and Hummingbird, which is really good. We've seen them on opposite ends of the ring quite a bit over the last few months, and they have really great chemistry because again, they work that junior style really well. Eventually it's Misa Matsui with that beautiful running knee count that scores her a 2 count, and then we get some great teamwork from the Darkness Revolution onto Hummingbird. That opens up the door for Misa Matsui to hit that insane top rope double stomp, cracking the eggs of one Hummingbird, ripping off the beak, getting the pinfall. 3.5 stars for me.
Yeah, it was a good match. Again, I unfortunately feel that Chiaki is probably going to be taking the pin during the tag match, but again, it was a good showing for her. And like you say, I'm a big fan of how she bends the rules, but does it in a way that the referee doesn't see, which I know you are a big fan of. 8-woman semi-main event, Matt, and Mika Wano getting her second successive clean pinfall victory over the Marigold World Champion. And again, you mentioned it during the interview that we talked about that Utami gave to Tokyo Sports about how Utami is so giving to others during this reign, especially to build up people ahead of their match. And Mirai is the perfect the perfect example of that, as is Bozilla actually. When Bozilla and Utami had their program, but Utami put Bozilla over huge. But the program that her and Mika Wano are running, it's the match we said we wanted. We've said we wanted this match since what, last summer? And we knew, because Marigold were holding off, we knew we were eventually going to get some explosive program. And this is brilliant because, again, the way that they've built Mika Wano from before Nane's retirement all the way through to now, she seems like a legitimate badass, a legitimate main eventer, a legitimate star in the company, and feels like the top person in the company alongside Utami, to the point where, if you were to tell me that Mika Wano is going to take the belt off Utami at Grand Destiny, I wouldn't be, I'd be quite happy with that. And that's what has been so good about this build. You have built these two to be equals to the point where, again, it could be a toss up to see who comes out of Ryogoku. And that's been the brilliant thing between those two women. And then there's just a ferocity to Victoria Yuzuki at the moment. Goodness gracious me, for everything I've just said about Utami and Mika Wano upping the intensity, times it by 1,000 for Victoria Yuzuki, who seems to only know one way of wrestling, and that is with full-throated passion, which is ironic considering she's teaming with Sari Yamaoka. But yeah, this was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed this match for a whole litany of reasons.
Rob, I'll be honest with you, this is my favorite match of these 2 shows we're going to review, and we have a Korakuen.
Wow.
This was my favorite match. This was great because you can kind of see, okay, obviously Utami on one side, Mika on the other. Mai Sakurai on one side, Victoria Yuzuki on the other. And we've seen it pretty much really since the end of the Dream Star that we're getting preview matches, and it's smart booking. It makes sense with the 2 champions teaming up with each other, and then the 2 challengers on the other side. But then you had Kazuna Tanaka and Shino on the other side, and I was like, that's odd because they're wrestling each other. Why wouldn't they exchange them? However, they were kind of one up each other in this match, basically taking advantage of beating up the young Yuka Yamazaki, which I like that. It's like, no, I can kick her harder. No, I can kick her harder. No, I can hit her harder. I can submission her better. So it's like, even though that they were on the same team, they were kind of competing against each other, but like, this is what you're going to get in a couple days' time. I hope you're ready. And Sarah Yamaoka, she worked really well. She kind of just worked a quick circuit with everybody. They did everybody to Utami, Kazuna Tanaka, Shino, and Mai Sakurai. They made sure that Sari got a few spots in to make her look really good. ultimately this match was just about another showing of Mai Sakurai versus Victoria Yuzuki, and I'm super excited for that. But we've been getting, as you said, pretty much partners since the end of last summer, little bits of Utami versus Miko Ano, little here or there, and then we were getting a little bit more as this match was announced. This last 4 or 5 minutes was like a mini match between the two, with the lariat off, with the clotheslines, with them going back and forth. I love how like every time that Miko Ano starts really using that kickboxing background to her advantage, it's Utami using her judo background to slow her down, with the judo throws, with the holds, the rear naked choke. Like, okay, like hold on here. Let me slow this down. Let me get this to my style. And Miko Ano just pours it on. And they had a really great closing sequence. And then it ends, even though with Utami taking a loss, she ate the twist of fate. She ate a super kick from Yuzuki. She ate this insane German suplex from Sarah Yomioka, and then the 1 second EX from Miko Ano. So yes, Miko Ano obviously getting another win, 2 out of the last 3 against Utami, picking up another win. But at the same time, look at all the finishes that Utami had to eat. And I just thought that really added to the story. I just thought where everybody was in the match, the fact that Sakurai was taking out, Kazuna Tanaka was taking out, Shina was taken out, and just it was the way that those finishes all flowed into Miko Ano putting away Utami was really the perfect ending to this match. Again, a really great match that had a really fantastic must-see final 4 to 5 minutes with Utami and Miko Ano, making me somehow even more excited for the championship match coming up next Sunday. Rob Goodwin for me, 4.25 stars. Again, this is my favorite match of these 2 shows that we're going to review.
Obviously, the main part of this show was Mirai's farewell gauntlet, the all-star gauntlet. And I feel like every time we do one of these, we say that Joshi does this better than anybody else. These farewell tours, if you will. And this was no different. The fact that we had the entire roster out there, everyone paying their respects in different ways. We ended with Mirai and Mai Sakurai and their embrace in the middle of the ring, I thought was really nice. The fact that we continued on with Mirai trying to absolutely brutalize poor Misa Matsui, and then Misa Matsui getting that surprise roll up. I thought that was great. Sariyama Oka picking up a victory in 16 seconds. I thought the moments with Koki Amare were brilliant. This gauntlet, again, it had so many different facets. I thought it was very well structured. I thought everybody got their own little personalized bit with Mirai, which is obviously, something that I really like. It's something that I really enjoyed about, especially Himika's back in 2023. And this had, for me, certain parallels between that and the Himika one as well. I thought everyone managed to pay the respects in a great little gauntlet, Matt.
Yeah, this was really fun. The stuff with Koki Amare was really fun. Like Koki kicks her, and then Mirai goes to chop her, and like, you can't, I'm hurt. And you can just see Mirai's form. It's like, I just got hit in the face. And you remember when we did this in the Dream Star last year? You kicked me, and I just got hit in the face. And she's like, you can't chop me. He's like, maybe I'll give you one. No, I'm hurt. And then as the time's ticking down, Koki Amare just kicks her in the face. She drops her, and then it's like, time's up. Next person up.
Run away.
I just thought that was really fun. I liked how she tricked, not only did she beat Megaton, she tricked her. She said, oh, let's lay down for this picture. And then Megaton's like, okay, Mirai. Yeah, absolutely. And then she puts
it's
her in the
not fair.
Touch. Yeah, she turned heel there. She did. She turned heel for a moment. Rob, I was thinking about this. We've been with these gauntlets again. I think these are great. I think this is a great way for somebody to retire because you get a minute, with everybody. Like, who do you choose for your final match? I would say like Kabashi's farewell was one of the greatest of all time because who do you choose for your final match? And he teamed with 3 other people to take on 4 of the new wrestlers. And no, obviously you wanted Masawa in there. Obviously Masawa passed away. Kawada was just beaten down and broken. But you get my point. Like, how do you choose with these Joshi gauntlets? It's like you get a little bit of everybody, and they're really fun. Yeah. And the question that I want to throw out to you is: we've seen a lot of these farewell Joshi gauntlets the last 3 or 4 years. Do you have one that sticks out as probably your favorite?
Himika's.
Yeah, I agree. Because a lot of it was great. I loved how we had a Miami versus Aphrodite match at the end, turned into a tag. Yeah. But I think the cherry on top was the fact that it was like Himika's like 20 minutes in, and Azumi comes in. She's like, let's have a race all the way up Korakuen Hall. And Himika gets like 10 feet out. She's like, this sucks.
Why would I want to do this? She had the baseball thing with Mayu as well.
Yeah. with Azumi of all people. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. This one was great. The Julia one was great. The mini one we got in the night. Everyone's been fantastic. But yeah, I was about halfway through this. I'm like, I have to ask Rob on the podcast what his favorite is. And Amber's like, which one's your favorite? I'm like, oh, it's Himika. It was so entertaining. It was so
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
And it wasn't announced until like the show. I think like she came out for a farewell thing, and then I think it was Julia came out and was like, "Oh, by the way, you're having a gauntlet at the end." Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Enjoy.
yeah, enjoy. But yeah, this was really really fun. A great way to send Mariah off into the world of independence, as we just talked about a little bit ago. Yeah, really fun stuff. I thought it made all sense in the world that it had to be her and Sakurai to end it. But
Absolutely.
I loved it how it was like, you look at this. Look who her last opponents are. So after Kokiyamare kicks her in the face twice, and Mirai's not able to hit her back, then she gets Chikagoto, Victoria Yuzuki wrestling at a blinding space, and then by the time she gets done with that crazy minute,
Victoria Yuzuki did not get the memo at all that this was supposed to be like a nice moment. It's another moment of wrestling. I must wrestle at high octane pace. I am wrestling machine, Victoria Yuzuki.
yeah, again, she was like the Izumi to the Himika. It was like, no,
Exactly.
yeah. But instead of racing, I'm going to hit you as hard as humanly possible. So then she gets done with the most insane minute of professional wrestling maybe ever, because she's exhausted. She's like 15 minutes into this point. So she gets up for that. And what does she? She's Sarah Yamaoka for the first time in her career doing a springboard Joshi dropkick,
It was
absolutely
quality.
sending
Amazing.
sending Mariah from one end to the other. Then she gets hit with a German and the Aoki clutch for the 3 count. So then she's done with that. I'm like, okay, let me get my breather. Then here comes Miko Ano. It's like, geez, how many time limit draws has I wrestled her to? Well, here's another one, another time.
Yep.
This one's only a minute. So then you have that. Then you have your world champion Utami, which they almost committed murder on each other more than one time. And then you have Herme Sakurai. So it's like, what a crazy fine. I mean, this whole thing was fun, but what a crazy last 4 or 5 minutes from Mariah.
Brilliant.
All gas, no breaks. Yeah, really fun stuff. I thought this was a great way to end. Ultimately, again, a really fantastic show with that 8-person tag being my favorite. And then, of course, that second match with Goto and Manami Yuki versus Kamoma Manami and Nagisa Taktabana. Really great show with great moments with this Mirai farewell gauntlet.
Yeah, and once we get to her final match at the Korakuen Hall show, which we're actually going to start talking about right now, I've got a lot of questions in regards to Mirai's run in Marigold as a whole, because there are obviously a lot of Mirai fans who will see her as a missed opportunity and, not booked to her full potential and things like that. So I'm intrigued to have your take on that when we go through it. But obviously, Korakuen Hall, night 6 of the Battle Hearts Tour, live and direct from Korakuen Hall on Wrestle Universe. English commentary from Stu Fulton, Sonny Gutierrez, and Tom Thane as well. This was well early for me, by the way. I think this was 3:30 in the morning for me, so I did not watch this live. I apologize. But I have watched it all now. The attendance for the show, by the way, 887. Now, the show did take place on a Monday. However, it was sports day in Japan, which is a public holiday, meaning the vast majority of people were either not in work or school. And I always say that that's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because obviously, yes, you've got more people off, but you're more likely to be doing stuff with family and things like that. So it could be either way.
Plus, New Japan ran. New
Plus,
Japan, I
New
think,
Japan
with
did run
Caster and
King of.
Zack Sabre Jr., yeah.
However, that was considerably later. I think that was 5 hours after this show. So it was a significant difference. It was in Tokyo as well. So, I feel like if there was going to be people that went to both shows, I think there's enough time there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think this is a number that Marigold will be disappointed in. It's a marked 29% decrease on their previous house, which was, of course, 1,260 for the Dreamstar Finals on September 14th. It's the lowest attended Korakuen Hall show since Mayu Iwatani joined Marigold. And it's the lowest since April, when they drew 680. Though, I suppose, arguably, you could say this is to be expected with neither of the top titles on being defended. However, with the added sort of stipulation of Mirai's farewell, I think they would have been hoping for a few more. But there we are. In terms of the results, then we open with a 3-way match. Hummingbird defeated Naoya Ishikawa and Megaton. Of course, Hummingbird defeating Megaton with a crucifix pin in 5 minutes and 32 seconds. Six-woman tag team match. Young Marigold showing why they are not just the future, they are very much the present. Shino, Yuki Yamazaki, and Kamomo Minami defeated Victoria Yuzuki, Kazuna Tanaka, and Nagisa Takibana. Shino hitting Uranagi on Nagisa Takibana in 9 minutes and 52 seconds. She then treated Kazuna Tanaka to one as well, because why not? Because why not? She is 16. It's absolutely ridiculous how much charisma one 16-year-old can fit in their body. With that tag team match, the Dance Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Rhea Sato defeated Chikagoto and Minami Yuki. Misa Matsui pinning Minami Yuki with the diving double foot stomp in 9 minutes and 3 seconds. We then had our red belt preview match ahead of Rya Goku, Utami Hayashishita, and Chan Yota defeating Miko Ueno and Arina Yamanaka. Utami Hayashishita finally getting a foothold in this feud, pinning Miko Ueno with the hijack bomb in 19 minutes and 29 seconds. Mirai's farewell tag team match semi-main event. Mirai Saku, Mirai, and Mai Sakurai defeating the Darkness Revolution, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki. Mai Sakurai pinning Chiaki with a lariat and schoolboy combination in 13 minutes and 29 seconds. And then finally, the Marigold Superfly Championship. Mayu Iwatani, the champion, defeating Seri Yamaoka with the Dragon Suplex in 11 minutes and 46 seconds to successfully retain the Superfly Championship for the third time. Matt, let's talk about the opener then. Now Ishikawa, Megaton, and Hummingbird. And I imagine that everything you said for Osaka, copy and paste here. Because very much this felt like a sort of comedy three-way. That, again, my one takeaway from this was Hummingbird looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, this match I liked a little bit better than Osaka, and you have and all three of these wrestlers and personalities are really over in Korakuen Hall. Obviously, now Ishikawa, we've known that she's been really over in Korakuen Hall. Megaton, people absolutely love her, and Hummingbird is somebody that is coming a long way in a short amount of time. Again, you had your really funny stuff with Megaton. Ultimately, though, this is Hummingbird and now Ishikawa. Again, we've seen them in a lot of these openers in Korakuen Hall, whether it's tag matches, 6-person matches, 8-person matches. Really good stuff there. Again, they throw Megaton in because she's the comedy. She's kind of the ha-ha, the fun stuff. And again, her stuff is over. Don't get me wrong. Her stuff is over. You absolutely can't deny that. But as far as the wrestling goes, it's obviously carried. We knew it was going to be by now Ishikawa and Hummingbird. With some really great stuff there. Megaton, she goes for the Megaton press, misses. We get a double dropkick on the poor Megaton. And then we do get Hummingbird taking out one now Ishikawa. Shockingly, that Megaton, we figured Megaton would eat the L, but not with the submission, Rob. I think maybe Hummingbird thought that she was very well scouted. I think maybe Hummingbird thought that maybe Megaton has been doing some bird watching as of late. Yes.
Jesus.
I wasn't even sitting on that one, buddy. That one literally just came out the top of my head. Was doing some bird watching, and instead of going to the submission, was able to roll up with a crucifix pin, 3.25 stars for me.
Matt, you said that this was your favorite match of the entire Korakuen Hall show. I mean, it was my second favorite, but again, it was 1A, 1B. This was fun. This was so much better than it had any right to be. And again, you look at who you've got in this match. Victoria Yuzuki, who we've just mentioned, wouldn't even tone it down for Mirai's gauntlet. She has one gear, and that gear is Kazuna Tanaka, who's great. Nagisa Takibana, who's incredibly improved. Shino, who, again, as I mentioned in the build-up, has more charisma than one person should naturally be able to fit in one's body. Komomo Minami, who, again, one of the most improved that we watch. Like, let's be perfectly honest, when you consider where she was in May to where she is now, unrecognizable wrestler. And Yuki Yamazaki, who is quietly going about her business as one of the most underrated rookies on this roster. You forget how good she is. They put on an absolute blinder here. I mean, aside from the fact that obviously this was a build towards Shino and Kazuna Tanaka at Grand Destiny, and Shino decided that even when Kazuna Tanaka was like, should we shake hands? She was like, no, I'm going to drop you on your head with an Uranagi. Okay, cool. Do that, Sheena. Why not? This was fantastic. Every single wrestler got their licks in. Every single wrestler had time to do, had time in the ring, had time to really play to the audience. They were given a lot of time. This went 10 minutes, more or less. Literally, this is the perfect way to frame a six-woman tag, and especially for these wrestlers who you look at who is in the ring here. This is your future of Marigold. This is whose hands Marigold is in once, the likes of Utami, Mayu, those people aren't there anymore. And genuinely, I'm looking at that going, yeah, Marigold's going to be fine.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, buddy. And obviously, I love a match when it starts off with a big lockup.
Of course.
Just as much, sometimes even better, depending on the wrestlers. I like it when you start with a strike exchange. And then you have, again, obviously, the main crux story that you want to tell here is you want to sell more tickets, more pay-per-views, more Wrestle Universe subscriptions with Shino versus Kazuna Tanaka, because that is the big opposite match. So you start with Shino and Kazuna Tanaka, and they just start kicking each other from as soon as the bell rings, they just start laying in each other. I'm like, all right, this is a preview of what we're going to get on Grand Destiny with Mayu versus Io, with Victoria Yuzuki versus Mei Sakurai, and Sari versus Chihiro Hashimoto, and of course Utami versus Miko Ano. Again, we're looking at one of the best wrestling cards ever coming up, because consider this is going to be fifth from the top, and this is just a little preview. Really great stuff. And you're absolutely right. Everybody looked great. Yuka is just, again, kind of under the radar of just how great she is. Nagise Takabana, towards the end of this match, had this really great closing sequence with Sheena, which I absolutely love. Kamomo Manami, just out of nowhere, just hanging with the best of the best in Marigold. We mentioned last week that she pinned Mirai clean in the middle of the ring, which is kudos to her, really upping her stock. For me, Rob, again, the best parts of this match was Kazuna Tanaka and Shino, which rightfully so.
Yep.
Again, for their buildup. I want to see in a tag match somewhere down the line, Shino Kamomo Manami versus Celine Flora, because we saw little exchanges there. And we did see that Team Yuzuki here had the advantage because of the teamwork of Kazuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki, which I thought played really, really well. But towards the end, it was just Shino was just I don't care. I don't care what tag teams you bring in here. They're all getting kneed, kicked in the head, sharpshooter, then Uranagi. Again, this was just phenomenal for so many different reasons. Just some really great stuff. Again, Nagise Takabana doing that double jump crossbody, which always gets the big reaction, especially in Korakuen Hall, because she does it so well. And it literally comes out of nowhere. And then she gets the big, the big pop there. And I like it how after they hit that, which is your big high spot, it's okay, it's time to wrap it up and take it home, because the last thing you want is the crowd on a high from that. And then you do 5 or 6 minutes more worth of stuff that doesn't really mean anything, and it brings the crowd down. So they did a great job hitting that high spot and then getting ready to take it home. Eventually, though, it is just Shino with just amazing with the kicks, the knees. She uses the head kick into that insane Uranagi for the 3 count. Great match, great storytelling, great tag work, great singles work. Again, great high spot with Nagisa Takabana, and then you take it home right from there, with eventually Shino overcoming that with the head kick into the Uranagi. 4 stars for me, my friend. I thought this was absolutely terrific. And again, it makes me want to see these 6 wrestlers more, which ultimately did its job in spades.
Who do you think has more intensity, Victoria Yuzuki or Shino?
That's not right. It's because Shino, we've only seen a handful of matches, and Yuzuki, we've seen every single one of her matches, even ever since she was in Stardom. So it's for volume, you got to say Victoria Yuzuki. But ask me this question in a year from now, once Shino drops out of school and becomes a professional wrestler full time. I'm not advertising that, but school, come on. Anywho, no, I'm joking. To answer your question, I would say Yuzuki, just because we've seen more. But Shino's not that far behind, considering we've only seen a handful of her matches. She's not that far behind. And Kazuna Tanaka isn't that far behind as well, because she was really waylaying into stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The partnership with Shino's really helped Kazuna Tanaka, because I feel like Kazuna Tanaka is a really good fiery baby face, but when she's got an opponent like Shino, she can really open up with her strikes and things like that. And I think that's something that we've really started to see during these little exchanges. Moving on to the tag team match, and Darkness Revolution getting a win over Chikagoto and Minami Yuki. Obviously, Matt, you've sort of not necessarily touted Chikagoto and Minami Yuki as future Twin Star champions, but sort of put them in the mix, shall we say, with Koki's injury. How do you think they fared here as a team? And again, what are your opinions in terms of Minami Yuki? Do you think she's ready for a twin star run. I think you can certainly throw her in for a twin star challenge without a shadow of a doubt. But in terms of a twin star win, are you convinced by this team?
It's worth a shot, right? And we've seen other random teams again. Sari winning it really early on. Wasn't Tank and Bozilla? Didn't they win the Twin Star championships as well?
Yes,
Didn't they
they
have a
did. That
short
was
run?
yes, they did. Yeah, that
Yeah, I
was
was. I
a
yeah.
weird week. That was a really weird week. It was almost like Marigold tried something, realized it didn't work, and quickly reset everything. And yeah, it very, very strange. Very strange.
The one thing again, Chikugoto, another great improved wrestler, Manami Yuki, fantastic. They're over, especially in Korakuen Hall, with their when they come up the music and then they lower the music down so they can do the Goto, Chika Goto thing, and then Yuki, like it works really well. It's over,
Mhm.
it's catchy. Make a shirt out of it. It's easy. You just have the finger point, and on the back you put Goto, Yuki. I mean, right there. I mean, come on, folks, come on. Again,
Bring your
they're
money.
over. Yes, again, they're over. We have seen teams, how can I put this in a positive way? Not as good as Chikugoto Manami Yuki, have those Twin Star championships, not as over as them. Again, Goto
Certainly
and
not as
Yuki.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly not as over.
And again, you put a challenge or you put them challenging for the belts or have them win the belts and have a defense in Korakuen Hall, it's going to up tickets because people want to see them in more high profile matches because they're over in Korakuen Hall. And you're putting in the team with the right people. Obviously, Misamatsu and Ryo Sato are great wrestlers. People love to boo them. People will pay money to boo them because that's what you want to do against the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They know when to throw the popcorn. They know when to do this or that. Korakuen Hall is a very smart and audible audience when it comes to professional wrestling. So they know they're going to boo Misa and Rhea, and they know they're going to get behind Chikugo and Manami Yuki. It's a formula that has worked for decades and decades, and it worked really here. Really great stuff. Again, the teamwork of Chikugo and Manami Yuki I thought was just excellent. Misa Matsu and Rhea Sato, they're still finding their footing as a tag team. I think they still work really well. I like the heel persona of Misa. We've talked about with Psycho Speed. Rhea Sato has really, really come into her own since she had her heel turn about a few months ago. But Goto and Yuki, you're kind of on the back end of this match. And then eventually, Goto and Yuki, they hit like a double boot on Misa Matsui. It really seems like they're starting to round. They're really being able to pick up the pace. It looks really like they're able to rebound from the early beating they had in this match. But ultimately, though, just some great teamwork from Misa and Rhea Sato, a little bit of bending and breaking the rules. Misa Matsui hits the flying knee and then the big top rope double foot stomp, putting away Manami Yuki. 3.5 stars for me.
We move on then to the first of our three featured matches, let's say, with our red belt preliminary match. Utami and Miku locking up one more time. Utami needed to get the win here, even though I thought they were going to go the whole hog and just have Miku completely dominate Utami all the way through to Grand Destiny. Wasn't the case here. Utami getting that decisive win with the hijack bomb. So we've built the hijack bomb as a legitimate finish. We've built the 1 second EX as a legitimate finish. So at least one of those is going to be a big near fall at Grand Destiny. I thought Chanyota and Arina Yamanaka did well as supporting cast members in this. But again, this was all about Utami and Miku Ano, and I thought they added a certain level of, again, this word I've used a lot today, intensity to that feud. And I like the fact that we've now seen both women lose. We've seen both women look extremely dominant. This is going to be a very much a titanic clash at Grand Destiny.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Obviously, this was built around Miko versus Utami on opposite ends, and Arena and Chanyota. You're right; they were supporting cast members, and they played their role really well. Arena had great stuff with Utami. Tommy gave her enough, and Miko and Chanyota, they work very similar styles, that hard hitting style. But like Arena really, because I mean, Chanyota, Utami, and Miko, they kind of work the same style, but in their own way, like the hard hitting, style, the strength. Where Arena kind of works like a little bit more of the high flyer style. So she really stood out in this match. And considering the fact that she's not a full-time member of this roster, I know Chanyota technically isn't, but we saw Chanyota in the Dream Star, so we've seen more of her. So Arena did a great job standing out, and Utami did a great job selling her offense, knowing when to put her offense because she does a lot of really cool stuff. Like she does like that split-legged leg drop. She does that like one leg missile drop kick. And again, Chanyota and Utami did a great job bumping and feeding for her, making her look really good. But ultimately, then it comes down to them really just dominating, really beating up on poor Arina Yamanaka. We know that Arina's a really good bumper because she took a lot of big bumps in this match. But you're absolutely right, buddy. This winds up going down to Utami. and Miko. I do want to say though, Utami and Chen as a tag team, really good. Miko and Arena as a tag team, really good. So they worked in a lot of different stories. Ultimately, though, it is Utami just bomb after bomb after bomb onto Miko Ano. She gets the big lariat. Like they have that lariat off, like we've seen the last few matches, which this time Utami gets the better of the lariat off. She uses that to go into the torture rack bomb, which we know Tommy's won a lot of big matches with. She did win the Dream Star last year, pinning Mai Sakurai with the torture rack bomb. But after the torture rack bomb, she picks up Miko Ano and goes for the move she tried early on in the match, but Miko Ano wasn't worn down enough, which I really like that story, and plants the Dream Star winner in the middle of the mat. Tommy finally getting a win over Miko Ano as we're on the road to Grand Destiny. 3 3/4 stars for me.
We move on to what I think the entire card was centralized around, and that is Mirai's final match. Obviously, the match was fine. I thought there was a nice parallel, and it was something we didn't really talk about last week in the preview. There's a nice parallel with Mirai's first Marigold match being against Chaki at Korakuen Hall, and her final match being against Chaki in Korakuen Hall. Because I believe it was Mirai versus Chaki in a singles match, wasn't it? At Marigold Fields Forever. Are you just checking that now?
No. Yeah, I'm
Oh, okay. I thought you were checking me because I was like, I've said that now. That is right. But yeah, I just thought there was quite a nice parallel there. Obviously, they touched on it during the video package as well. Korakuen massively into Mirai. I'm amazed this wasn't the main event. I really am amazed. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, Mayu Iwatani versus Sari Yamaoka for the Superfly title, huge match. I feel like Mirai's final match, her farewell to Korakuen Hall, I feel like that really should have been the main event. Now, I know that there will be Mirai fans who say this is indicative of the way Mirai has been booked over her time in Marigold. Again, we've used the phrase always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and some would argue this is the case. I don't know how I feel about that, but I think having her in the main event, close the show, certainly getting the pinfall in this match. I think if Mirai and Mai Sakurai are going to win the match, Mirai should be the one doing the pinning, certainly. Even if it's not going to be the main event, you're not going to give her streamers or anything like that. She needs to be the one getting the pin. I thought that was odd. But that aside, it was a good match. What are your thoughts on the match itself, Matt, the placement and things like that, before we get into Mirai's Marigold run, by the numbers, if you want, and sort of as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see main event or not. You have Mayu trying to get that win back on against Sari. It's for the championship. So it's like I kind of see why you put that on there. At the same time, it's you have somebody that really helped build this company up in its first year. You get kind of fear of the unknown, and you basically was Mirai Utami. A little bit of Julie. Again, we know that when we talked about before, we knew that Julie was on her way to WWE, but it's basically Mirai and Utami carrying this company in its first year. Yeah, you could have put her on the main event, but I get it. It's Mayu, Sari, Mayu getting her win back for, in a championship. And again, Mayu is going to be your big draw, her and EO coming up. So it's like, I'd see that. I got no problem with that. Kind of figured, okay, Darkness is going to get a win here. It's going to be Chiaki pinning Mirai. Considering the fact Kamau Manami pinned Mirai, 2 weeks ago on the show we reviewed last time. So it's like, okay, you want to have this wrestler doing favors, putting people over on the way out. I have no problem with Mirai and Mai Sakurai winning, but have Mirai get the win, considering the fact all of the banners, like everything, they kept showing on her entrance. Like there was a ton of them for Mirai. It's like, okay,
Yeah, sure.
give the happy ending. I get it. Give the big happy ending. You don't give streamers. Oh, okay. But then to have Mai Sakurai get the win, it's like just she's your United National Champion. Does she really need the gap? You know what I mean?
Push Mai Sakurai.
I didn't understand that. The other thing I didn't understand, I thought was kind of funny, is that you knew when they're putting this match together that they're pulling the ref out. It's like, what move do we pull the ref out in? Do we do it in the STF? Do we do it a lariat? Do it the Mirai shock? Do we do it the STK? Do we do it with the Shining Black? No, they pulled the ref out during the Goodwin elbow drop, Rob. I just want to point that out. Out of all the offensive maneuvers that these two wrestlers have as both
Most
singles and
devastating
tag
move.
wrestling, it's the Goodwin elbow drop. It's like, should we wait for the STF, which Sakurai's won so many matches and the wipeout with?
Nah.
Do we wait for the lariat from Mirai, the mirror Mirai shock, the double wrist lock? What's the move that we need to pull the ref out? Because we know that it's once it hits, it's lights out. The Goodwin elbow
Absolutely.
drop. I just want to point that out. As
I
far as the match
appreciate
goes,
that.
yes, absolutely. Hey, I'm just calling facts, right? That's what happened. As far as the match goes, this was fun. They've had better matches before, but like the match starts off and it quickly goes all over the place. I'm like, okay, here we go. Really, really some fun stuff. And then we just get to see Mirai just getting battered from Nagisa and Chiaki, bending, breaking the rules. You have Darkness Revolution basically doing, a lot of 1970s, 1980s tag team wrestling where you're cutting the ring off, getting the heat on Mirai. Get the big hot tag to Mai Sakurai. She comes in all full PNV. She hits the missile dropkick onto Chiaki. Again, the Goodwin elbow drop. Ref gets pulled. We get some chair stuff in there. Now, I didn't see this live as well, Rob, because I came home from Comic-Con like 3 hours earlier. I think I fell asleep on. Oh, not only, and we were talking about this on the Stardom Cast. I came home from Comic-Con. I wanted to take a nap, and then we had Lily's third birthday party because that's what we do. That's what we do. There's some. My wife is like, "Hey, take a shower. People are coming over for Lily's little mini birthday party." I'm like, "All right." I was gonna take a nap, but yeah. So anyway, I fell asleep early. I didn't watch this until later, but I saw the results, and I do want to say because it was kind of hinted on the show from people that you've talked on social media that Mirai's not leaving. She's turning to going Darkness Revolution. Now, again, I saw the results from this match, but when the ref gets pulled and Mirai takes the chair, it did look like Mirai is going to hit Mai Sakurai. So I was like, ooh, again, I know what happened because I saw the results. I was like, oh, they did kind of planted the seeds and teased that a little there. So I was like, oh, I kind of really enjoyed that. Obviously, that didn't happen. And then we do get Mirai hitting a lariat onto Chiaki that opens up the door for a backdrop suplex from Mai Sakurai. Sakurai pinning Chiaki 3 and 3/4 stars. So again, solid enough match. Again, we've seen them have better tag matches before. But yeah, just really weird that if Team Mirai is going to win here, have Mirai get the win. If you're going to give the big happy moment, have Mirai do the one that gets the pinfall. So I did think that was really, really odd.
Yeah, it was a bit. So obviously, Mirai's run by the numbers 151 matches, 73 wins, 42 losses, 36 draws. That's, of course, counting her farewell gauntlet as well. 91 matches this year, again, including that gauntlet. No singles title, Matt. And that's the crucial thing. Obviously, inaugural Twin Star champion, inaugural Twin Star Cup winner as well, alongside Mai Sakurai. Do you qualify Mirai's run in Marigold as a success? Again, you look, she put Miko Ueno over, and I'd argue that that feud with Miko Ueno put Miko Ueno in a position to be where she is now, to have that white belt run and to then win the Dream Star and have the red belt run. Had one match for the red belt, a really good match for the red belt, but then hasn't been near either title since. And I feel like that is probably where, and you look at the booking of the Dream Stars, both 2024 and 2025. Obviously, 2025, we know that people knew she was leaving, so that's obviously understandable. The 2024 one was just weird, the booking for a 2024 one. It's easy to see why Mirai fans are frustrated. I think there was a lot that you could do with Mirai. Unfortunately, you just can't push everyone. And that's the thing. You're starting this brand new company and you needed someone legitimate at the top of this card. And I think Utami had to be that person. After Sari or Julia, whoever was winning that, it had to be Utami afterwards. And I just don't think Utami had been able to legitimize that run when Mirai came calling. I think if we were having this match in 4, 5, 6 months, then I think Mirai would have won. But again, what are your thoughts on this run?
You can make an argument either way, right? It's like you can make the easy argument. Obviously, the Mirai fans are the most vocal as far as Stardom Cast fans. We get constant messages about how Mirai's misbooked. She's not used. What is she doing? Anytime that Mirai eats an L, like we hear about it, as if it's like we're the ones that are doing the booking, right? So it's like I can see the Mariah fans saying no, she wasn't used right. She never got a big singles win, and and it's a really good discussion. It's a really good, for lack of a better term, roundtable discussion because you can easily say it's like she never won either the red belt or the white belt. On the flip side, first Twin Star champions won the Twin Star Cup, was in a high prominent match on their first really big pay-per-view with Miko Ano, and then the winner going out in Bozil and had a really great match on that show. And the last pay-per-view, she challenged Utami Hayashishita for the red belt. So it's like, even though she didn't win those big singles bouts, she was in a lot of really big, high profile matches. And again, as far as tag wrestling goes, she did a great job. In my opinion, still to this day, the best tag team championship run. Again, I know Marigold's only a company about a year, but I think her and Mai Sakurai were the best tag champs. And again, they won the first Twin Star Cup. So as far as the tag division goes, you have to check that off as a yes. As far as the singles go, again, you can make an argument either way. Again, I understand the Mariah fans are probably yelling and throwing things like Matt, no, clearly no, because again, she didn't really have much luck in the first two Dream Stars as far as points goes. Again, she was in big prominent matches on all these big shows, especially that big Nanae Takahashi retirement match, which drew a really good number. And her and Utami had arguably the best match of that show. We can argue either that one or, Miko Ano and Nanae. So, and again, the way that Mirai was built up for that, beating Utami a lot of times going into that, it's a great question. I'm not going to say it's a major success, but by no means I'm going to say it's a failure. Again, it's a great discussion that we would love to have with you fans. So let us know. You guys know how to get us on social media and on email. And again, if you're if you're listening to this on our Patreon, let us know in the comment section because I would love to hear. I would love to hear because it's a great argument. It's not like if Utami left tomorrow, would you be like, was her run success? I think everybody would say yes, major success. Mirai's a really great question because, again, I don't think it's a major success, but by no means do I think it's a disappointment at all. Now I'm going to ask you the question you just asked me. Where do you lie on Mirai's Marigold run?
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
It's tough.
I think there's wasted potential there. I think
Sure.
you look at Marigold Shine Forever, Marigold Fields Forever, sorry. When she walks in, she's the most over person in that building. And I would argue that the entire show, she is the most over person. She was the person who needed it the most. That new coat of paint really, really suited her. I think having the Twin Star titles, great, but I think it felt very much like her in Marigold for a long time was her treading water. Now, we know that obviously, again, she's been wanting to leave since the end of 2024, which, again, I
Weird.
imagine has stymied her booking. There's something that's gone on there that we aren't, there's more that isn't being said. It does feel like she was treading water. It felt like the booking was stagnating with her. And I do feel like that was, that again, you're not going to book her, to win your top title if you know she's leaving.
Sure.
I think again, her stuff with Miko Ano was brilliant. Her stuff with the Twin Star titles, legitimizing those with Mai Sakurai was brilliant. Everything she was asked to do, she did very, very well. It's difficult to quantify because now we know that obviously, why would you book someone with your top title if you know she's leaving? Why that was the case, we'll probably never know. But yeah, hopefully, to sort of put a bow on this, because we could talk circles around this, and I don't want to keep Andy Header waiting because I know you've got him after me.
He's in the green room. Yeah, I just texted him. I told him when I'm like 2 minutes out. So he's in the green room waiting on me for Talk Joshi. Hope you guys are excited.
There you go. Just to put a bow on this, I think, everything she's been asked to do, she's done well. And whatever she goes on to do, I hope she is extremely happy doing. And that is obviously the main thing out of everything, that Mirai is happy. Because again, her smile is the most infectious thing on this entire roster. You see her burst through the curtain, this massive smile on your face. You can't help but be happy seeing it. So again, hopefully she continues with that wherever she goes. Moving on then to what was the main event, the Superfly Championship match, Mayu Iwatani and Seri Yamaoka. This was predictably great, building on their match from the Dream Star to the point where Seri Yamaoka hit the 3 German suplexes. I really enjoyed the fact that she didn't hit the Aoki clutch, though, and didn't hit it at any point during this match because Mayu had it scouted. Some beautiful moments in this. There's a bit where Mayu catches the spear. I thought that was great. Where Seri reverses, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was a suplex. Reverses a suplex seamlessly into this gut wrench, and it looked absolutely fantastic. Looked amazing, and this wasn't a Superfly Championship match in the conventional sense. You know, it wasn't like balls to the wall speed. Like you look at the Victoria Yuzuki Mayu match, especially the opening of it. This wasn't like that. This very much felt like a condensed version of what a main event match between these two could look like. It was almost like an entree of like, look what we are going to be able to give you in, you know, in a year's time for maybe a big title or a Dream Star final or something like that, which is very exciting. I think we expected Mayu to win, especially with Io Sky on the horizon. Sky. But again, this was a nice little appetizer, as I say.
The fact that they were able to have this good of a match, considering the fact that Mayu's in a bunch of pain, like, you know,
Exactly, yeah.
Like, and I like my big complaint was like when the match ended, I was like, oh, I wish it would have went longer. Like a big Korakuen Hall main event, less than 12 minutes. At the same time, like I thought it delivered. And again, you do not want to keep Mayu out there any longer than she needs to be, heaven forbid, if it's a ruptured Achilles or a foot. So it's at the same time, they maximize every second. Like this match. You're absolutely right. This was kind of a mix of a super fly. Go ahead, let you say something.
No. You go for it, man.
Oh, but like it was a mix of like a Superfly championship and a big Korakuen Hall main event kind of merged into one. At the same time, they kind of minimized the risk in this match. But to say, I mean, Mayu's bumping all over for Seri. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like you know, your mat wrestling to start. Mayu gets a little bit more of the advantage because of the experience and the high speed Superfly style. Seri uses that amateur background to really ground Mayu. She really gets the advantage and just beats on Mayu quite a bit. And you're absolutely right. Like she goes for, hey, this is what brought me to the dances, those locomotion German suplexes into the Aoki clutch. She hits the 2, she goes for it, and then Mayu just like rolls through, gets a roll up on Seri, and then Seri kicks out. When Seri kicks out, she's like, I can't believe that like Mayu countered this move, the Aoki clutch, the one that put her down, and 2, I somehow got out of a 3 count. So you see Seri's kind of like, because the inexperience doesn't know where she's at, and then Mayu's just like, surprise, kick you in the head, buzzsaw kick, and then hit the snap dragon suplex. So I like that. It's basically the inexperience versus the experience is really what did Seri in to get Mayu the win. 4 stars for me, my friend. You know, I made mention it was either the basically the young Marigold 6-person tag or this match was my favorite, pending on different days. But again, really, really solid card with, again, my opinion, this match and that absolute must see young Marigold 6-person tag match, really the 2 highlights on the show for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Seri Yamaoka again showcasing exactly why there is so much buzz about her. Very, very quickly then, just want to remind everyone that we have got 3 shows coming up for Marigold. We are in the Chikujo Community Center in Fukuoka on the 17th for Seri Yamaoka's homecoming. On the 18th, we go to across Fukuoka for Komomo Manami's homecoming show. And then on the 19th, which is Sunday, we have obviously got Shino and Mayu's homecoming in Yamaguchi at Refresh Yamaguchi on the 19th as well. So 3 shows coming for Marigold in the lead up to Grand Destiny. And with that, Matt, the only thing left to do is to take a little gaze at Julia.
Gaze at Julia again. Thanks to my main man, Darren Chatton. Maybe the recipient of that jersey behind you, buddy. We shall see. Only if he asks nice enough. Only if he asks nice enough. Again, this was built up last week as we have the 2 champions, Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton, taking on the team of Julia and Kiana James. Match starts off with Stephanie Vaquer basically just wrestling circles around Kiana James. She hits a big belly to back suplex. And then like 90 seconds in, she hits the devil's kiss, which I thought was weird because that's kind of like the big move to get the big pop. Eventually, though, we do have Kiana and Julia. They cut the ring off. We get some heat on to the Raw Women's Champion. By that, I mean one Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer is able to hit a step-up enziguri, tags in one Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany comes in all House of Fire, which is exactly what you want to do when you build up a hot tag, because you want to come in hot. That's why it's called a hot tag. She comes in. She hits the Great Muta style handspring elbow, which I absolutely love, and a spine buster to Kiana James for a 2 count. Kiana James hits a super kick, and then Julia tags herself in. She hits the Arriva Dirty Knee and the Glorious Driver onto Tiffany Stratton. There wasn't a lot of stuff with Julia and Tiffany Stratton, but the little bit we got seems they have instant chemistry. And I'd love to see maybe that go somewhere. Obviously, Julia, the United States champion over on SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton is the women's champion on SmackDown. I would love to see a Julia versus Tiffany Stratton program on SmackDown, because I think the two of them would really benefit with being in the ring with each other. Eventually, we get tag outs. We get Kiana and Stephanie as the legal participants in said match. I'm sorry, we have Tiffany and Kiana James are the legal participants in this match. Stephanie Vaquer takes Julia out with a dropkick and a top rope dive. And then that leaves a little mini match with Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vaquer. And Stephanie Stratton hits the Finley roll into the prettiest moonsault ever to pin one Kiana James for the 3 count. Solid enough match, went about 9 minutes or so. Again, I would love to see someone in the future, a Julia versus Tiffany Stratton program, because I think that would be fantastic. But it was nice to see our former World of Stardom champion, former Wonder of Stardom champion, actually doing what she does best: professional wrestling, wrestling on SmackDown. Really solid stuff.
I know. It's almost like she's a champion. Anyway, lads, ladies, and everyone else that listens to this podcast, that brings us to the end of the Marigold Standard. Thank you so much for listening. We truly appreciate it. If you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. All of those things are free ways to really help us out, and we will be truly, truly appreciative. You can check out Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you can find all of our archived episodes and all the news and reviews and previews as well. You can find us on social media at Marigold Podcast, apart from on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, where we are on Talk Joshi. Talk to me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Matt Turner. Sounds off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter is easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. Or you can say, you know what, Matt, I don't do social media. Is there any way I can send you an email and tell you about Starlight Kid being on a music video? Which, thank you, Steve, for that. By the way, I do need to check that out. My email address, folks, simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic edition of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because when we're all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.